of Egypt, Pharaoh Nuff, was approached by his daughter.
Hey Dad, I found this kid in a basket floating amongst those plants by the water's edge.
Bulrushes.
No Dad, it's fair dinkum.
Pharaoh's daughter decided to keep the little basket. She also adopted the kid and called him Moses. Now Moses was raised in the royal household and must have been on a bloody good wicket because he was still hanging around home at 40 years of age. In fact, the only reason he did pack his swag was because he was witnessed murdering a public servant. Moses, knowing that royalty could never get away with murder, did the bolt and ended up in a place called Midian, where he sorts out a couple of yobbos who are hassling Sheila's mustering sheep.
Seriously, thanks, love. Hey, muster this. I've been bad. Which one of you lasses are merry then? I got 2 bags full for you. What the...
In what can only be described as an amazing act of gratitude, the girl's father not only gives Moses, who's a complete stranger, one of his daughters, but also makes him his head drover, even though Moses has never shorn, drenched or crutched a sheep in his life. Moses fathered a couple of boys with his new missus, and for the next 40 years he contentedly mustered the in-law sheep, until the day he had a visit from God.
Oi, Moses. Now listen, mate. I want you to convince Pharaoh to let my people go.
Me? Wouldn't it make more sense if you told him?
Egyptians shit me, especially Pharaohs. I'll fix them and their bloody pyramid schemes.
But I'm a wanted felon in Egypt.
You'll be right, mate. Fair enough as character. You'll be dealing with... Are you ready for this? Pharaoh Fawcett.
Oh, good old Forsey got the gig. He and I grew up together. Shouldn't be a problem, mate.
Stop that. Now listen, mate. Don't get too cocky. I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart so he says no.
So what's the point of me asking if you've got it rigged so he'll say no?
I've a few new plagues that need testing and I need an excuse. Now, take this magic stick.
Magic stick?
Yep, she's a ripper. As well as being able to give Pharaoh nasty plagues fair up his clacker, you can push that button and it turns into a fucking big snake.
Holy shit! How do you change it back?
Hang on a tick.
Crikey! What a little beauty!
So Moses, his missus and 2 sons headed off to Egypt. When...
Just a minute. Your young bloke hasn't been circumcised. What about our covenant? Why, you
in an effort to save her husband's life from the wrath of God, Moses' wife located a sharp rock and proceeded to circumcise their 30-year-old son. She did what now?
Hold still, sweetheart.
So after that bizarre little encounter, not surprisingly, Moses' family decided to turn back home, while Moses continues on and meets up with his brother Aaron, who had booked them in to see Pharaoh, where Moses asked for his people to be let go, or stood down for a couple of days so they could head bush for a picnic. Well anyway, Pharaoh says no, so Moses starts waving his magic stick.
Abra bloody cadabra!
With this, the Nile turned to blood. Even though Egypt is pretty much devastated by this and 8 other plagues, Pharaoh still has no choice but to say no.
Jeez, God, I think you've made your point. Can't you allow Pharaoh to let us go now?
No, not yet. I still have a beauty left to unleash. Death to all the firstborn males.
So God killed all the Egyptian firstborn males from the smallest infant to the oldest man, regardless of their politics, as a lesson to Pharaoh for not setting the Hebrews free. Even though he couldn't. But now he could, and he did. So the 80-year-old Moses and his older brother began the logistical nightmare of leading 2 million Hebrews, their livestock and supplies, to the Promised Land.
So I've been working it out to keep the Exodus column under 100 miles long. The best we can hope to achieve is just 20 miles a day. If we can achieve this, then we'll hit the Red Sea at about the same time the last of our mob will be leaving.
So Moses led his people out of Egypt to the edge of the Red Sea. In the meantime, Pharaoh had a change of heart.
Bugger 'em.
Saddle up the chariots, boys. We're going to get our slaves back.
So now, with the Egyptians hot on their heels, the Israelites found themselves pinned, and in what must have been one hell of an impressive sight, Moses parted the Red Sea.
I hope you're feeling fit, bro. 'Cause to get everyone across, I've estimated that you're going to have to hold this open for a couple of days, at least.
With the Hebrews now escaping across the seabed, the Pharaoh summons his military commanders. You got it, the Pharaoh Fawcett Majors.
Righto, boys, after 'em.
Do you reckon that's a good idea, boss?
She'll be right. What's the worst that could happen?
In what has been described as the worst tactical blunder before sending troops into Iraq, Pharaoh close order marched his 250,000 strong army into the path of waters. He may have been in denial, but now him and his boys were in the Red Sea. Clear of the Red Sea, Moses and his crew continued on in the Midian, but they ran out of tucker along the way, so God sent manna from the sky. By the time they reached Mount Sinai, they'd run out of water, so God told Moses to talk to a rock, which would bring forth water. But the 80-year-old Moses, probably buggered from walking a couple hundred miles, hit the rock with his magic stick instead.
Oi, what the bloody hell do you think you're doing? Those sticks don't grow on trees. No promised land for you, sunshine. You better pop up on top of this mountain so I can lay down the law.
All the way up there? I wish he'd send us to the Sinai Valley.
So Moses disappears up Mount Sinai. 4 weeks later, the Israelites become restless.
What's Moses up to, Aaron? He's been up the hill long enough to knock up a couple of stone tablets.
You'd better hope they're not suppositories.
This month of waiting has caused us to lose faith. We've had a vote, and we want you to fashion these golden earrings we've collected into a golden calf for us to worship.
Lost faith? What's wrong with you people? In the past few months, you've witnessed the Nile turn to blood. You've seen a shitloads of plagues that only affected the Egyptians. What else? You've seen the culling of every firstborn Gentile in Egypt, and you've seen 5 miles of ocean opening up, allowing us safe passage, then closing on the entire Egyptian army.
Yeah, but what has God done for us lately?
Ah, you mean beside the food that falls from the sky each morning and that river flowing from that rock over there?
We've fought it through, and I think we'd be better worshipping a statue of a cow.
Are you serious? And we're supposed to be God's chosen ones?
We intend to dance around the statue naked.
Right then, well, hand over that jewellery and let's start stoking the melting fire.
So Aaron made the golden calf, and the idolaters worshipped it. Then Moses returned.
Hear the word of God. Thou shalt not kill. The fuck? Kill them!
So those loyal to Moses killed the boviners. And with that sorted, God directed Moses to the Promised Land and told his people to slay the current residents. But some questioned this.
I just don't get it. 1 minute God says thou shalt not kill. Now he wants us to kill every man, woman and child in Canaan.
God grew impatient with all these questions and told Moses that he and his crew would wander the desert till they grew some balls.
Oh, for God's sakes, dear. We've been wandering this bloody desert for 40 bloody years. Please can we stop and ask someone for directions?
Well, anyway, after those who questioned God finally died, God led his people into the Promised Land, where under his protection and direction they lived happily ever after.